The sky above New York City turned an eerie shade of orange as a massive alien ship descended from the heavens. It was shaped like a jagged mountain, its metallic surface gleaming under the sun. People froze in their tracks, staring upward with a mix of awe and terror. Cars screeched to a halt on busy streets, and the usual hum of city life fell silent. The ship hovered motionless for what felt like an eternity before a deep mechanical voice boomed across every radio, television, and phone on Earth. "We are the Vraxians," the voice declared, cold and emotionless. "Your planet is now ours. Surrender immediately or face destruction." The words echoed in the minds of billions. Panic erupted almost instantly. Crowds scattered in all directions, some screaming, others frozen in shock. Social media exploded with videos of the ship, theories about its origins, and cries for help. Governments scrambled to respond, but no one had any answers. No one except two individuals who weren't quite ready to give up just yet. Liam Carter had been tinkering with his telescope when the announcement came. He lived alone in a small apartment filled with books, gadgets, and half-finished experiments. An astrophysicist by trade, he spent most of his days studying the stars, dreaming of the day humanity might meet intelligent life beyond Earth. But this wasn't how he imagined it would happen. As the voice echoed through his speakers, Liam frowned. Something about it didn't sit right. The tone was too rehearsed, too scripted. It lacked the confidence you'd expect from a conquering force. Across town, Claire Bennett was chasing her next big story. A journalist known for her sharp wit and relentless curiosity, she had been interviewing locals at a cafe when the ship appeared. Her phone buzzed nonstop with alerts, but instead of running, she grabbed her camera and headed toward the chaos. If there was one thing Claire loved, it was uncovering the truth, and something told her this invasion wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. By chance, their paths crossed later that evening in Times Square. The giant screens that usually advertise movies and products now displayed the Vraxian message on repeat. Liam stood near the edge of the crowd, muttering to himself while jotting notes on a crumpled piece of paper. Claire noticed him immediately. His disheveled hair and distracted expression made him stand out among the terrified masses. "What are you doing?" she asked, stepping closer. "Trying to figure out if they're bluffing," Liam replied without looking up. "This whole thing feels off." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Off? They've got a spaceship hovering over Manhattan. What part of that isn't terrifying?" Liam finally looked at her, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Exactly. Why announce themselves so dramatically? Why not just attack? And why choose New York first? There's no strategic advantage here." Claire tilted her head, intrigued. "You think they're hiding something?" "I don't know yet," Liam admitted, "but I'm going to find out." The two decided to team up, realizing they shared a common goal: understanding the invaders' true intentions. That night, they broke into an abandoned electronics store to gather tools and equipment. Liam rigged a makeshift scanner to analyze the energy signals coming from the ship, while Claire recorded everything on her camera, determined to document every step of their investigation. As dawn approached, Liam's device picked up something unusual: a faint fluctuation in the ship's energy output. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it confirmed his suspicions. The Vraxians weren't as invincible as they claimed. Whatever their plan was, it had flaws. And if Liam and Claire could exploit those weaknesses, maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide against the invaders. For the first time since the ship arrived, hope flickered in their hearts, but they both knew the real battle was only beginning. The next morning, the streets of New York were eerily quiet. Most people had either fled the city or locked themselves indoors, too afraid to face what might come next. But Liam Carter and Claire Bennett weren't like most people. Armed with their makeshift equipment and a growing determination, they made their way toward Central Park, where rumors said the Vraxians had set up some kind of outpost. As they approached, they saw it, a towering structure that looked like a mix between a tree and a machine. Its metallic branches stretched high into the sky, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Surrounding it were dozens of insect-like creatures, each standing at least 10 feet tall. Their exoskeletons shimmered in shades of green and black, and their large, multifaceted eyes scanned the area constantly. It was clear these aliens weren't here for friendly chats. One of them stepped forward, larger than the rest. Its voice crackled through the air, deep and distorted. "I am Zixer-7, emissary of the Vraxian Empire. You will comply with our demands." A small crowd had gathered cautiously nearby, including local officials trying to negotiate. Cameras flashed as reporters documented every moment. Claire moved closer, her camera rolling. She noticed how stiff and unnatural Zixer-7 seemed, almost as if it were reciting lines from a script. When one of the officials asked about the specifics of their demands, Zixer-7 hesitated, its mandibles clicking awkwardly before responding. Liam whispered to Claire, "Did you see that? They're not used to answering questions." Claire nodded, keeping her camera steady. "They're winging it. Maybe they didn't plan this invasion as well as they thought." Their suspicions grew when Zixer-7 began repeating itself, giving vague answers about Earth's resources and humanity's primitive nature. The more contradictions Liam and Claire noticed, the more confident they became. These invaders weren't infallible. They were making mistakes. Later that day, the two retreated to a safe house, a friend's empty apartment, to review the footage Claire had captured. On playback, they spotted something strange. Every time Zixer-7 spoke, tiny sparks of energy flickered around its body. Liam grabbed his scanner and analyzed the video frame by frame. "This is it," he said excitedly. "Their technology isn't perfect. Look, those sparks mean their systems are unstable. If we can figure out why, we might have a chance to fight back." Claire leaned over his shoulder, watching intently. "But how do we even start? We're just two people against an entire alien army." "We don't have to do it alone," Liam replied. He pulled out his phone and started searching for contacts. "There are others out there who won't sit back and let this happen. People who know how to fight. People who understand tech. We just need to bring them together." By the end of the day, they'd reached out to a few key individuals. One was Ethan Hayes, a former Marine turned survivalist who lived off-grid in the Catskills. Another was Mia Dawson, a young hacker known for exposing corporate scandals online. Both agreed to meet with Liam and Claire after hearing their theory about the Vraxians' weaknesses. When the group finally assembled in the safe house, tensions ran high. Ethan paced back and forth, his arms crossed. "You're telling me these bugs aren't as tough as they look?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Liam explained. "Their tech has flaws. If we hit them where it hurts, we can push back." Mia chimed in, typing furiously on her laptop. "I've been digging into their signals. They're using Earth's magnetic field to power their equipment. If we disrupt that, we could cripple them." Claire added, "And we already know they're not as organized as they want us to believe." Zixer-7 practically stumbled over his own words today. "This isn't an unbeatable force. It's a bluff." For the first time since the invasion began, a spark of hope ignited within the group. They weren't soldiers or superheroes, but they were determined. Together, they started planning their next move, knowing full well the risks involved. Failure meant death, or worse, enslavement under alien rule. But success meant freedom. As the sun set outside, casting long shadows across the room, Liam looked around at his newfound team. For the first time, he felt like they stood a chance. The road ahead would be dangerous, but one thing was certain: humanity wasn't going down without a fight. The resistance began to take shape in the days that followed. Ethan Hayes, the former Marine, turned an old warehouse on the outskirts of the city into their base of operations. It wasn't much, just a dusty space with peeling paint and broken windows, but it was hidden from view, which made it perfect for their plans. Boxes of supplies were stacked haphazardly in corners, and maps of New York City covered the walls, marked with scribbles and arrows. Mia Dawson spent most of her time at a cluttered desk, surrounded by laptops and tangled wires. Her fingers flew across the keyboards as she hacked into the Vraxians' communication systems. She discovered that the aliens relied heavily on Earth's magnetic field, not just for power, but also for navigation. Without it, their technology would be useless. If we can disrupt their connection to the magnetic field, she explained to the group, we can blind them and cut off their energy source. Liam nodded thoughtfully. That's our target. But how do we get close enough to hit it? That's where I come in, Ethan said, his voice firm. He unfolded a map on the table, pointing to a location near the alien ship. Their main power core is here. It's heavily guarded, but if we move fast and stay quiet, we might have a shot. Claire listened carefully, her mind racing. She wasn't trained for combat like Ethan or tech-savvy like Mia, but she knew her strengths. We'll need distractions, she said. Something big enough to draw their attention away from the core while you guys sneak in. Distractions are my specialty, Maya replied with a smirk. I can hack into their drones and broadcast fake signals. They'll think there's an attack happening somewhere else. The plan started coming together piece by piece. Liam worked on building devices to disrupt the magnetic field, using parts scavenged from old electronics. Ethan trained volunteers who had joined the resistance, teaching them basic guerrilla tactics. Most of them were ordinary people, students, shopkeepers, even a retired teacher, but they all shared one thing, a fierce determination to protect their planet. As the days passed, the group grew closer. They shared meals, told stories, and laughed despite the looming threat above them. Claire documented everything, filming interviews with the volunteers and capturing moments of hope amid the chaos. She wanted the world to see that humanity wasn't giving up without a fight. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the group gathered around a flickering lantern. The air was tense. Everyone knew what was at stake. Ethan stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow on the wall. Tomorrow night, we move, he said. This isn't going to be easy, and some of us might not make it back. But if we succeed, we give Earth a fighting chance. No one spoke for a moment. Then Liam broke the silence. We're not doing this alone. People all over the world are resisting. This isn't just about us. It's about everyone. Claire nodded, holding up her camera. And when this is over, I want the world to know what happened here. That even when things looked impossible, we didn't back down. The next morning, the team finalized their preparations. Liam double-checked his equipment, making sure each device was ready to disrupt the magnetic field. Maya ran simulations on her laptop, testing different scenarios for the drone distraction. Ethan handed out weapons, mostly makeshift tools like bats and knives, and reminded everyone to stay calm under pressure. As night fell, the group loaded into a battered van and drove toward the alien ship. The streets were deserted, the only sound the hum of the engine. Nerves were high, but no one hesitated. They had a mission, and they were ready to carry it out. When they reached their destination, Mia activated the first wave of distractions. Fake transmissions flooded the Vraxian network, showing phantom attacks in multiple locations. Drones swarmed toward the decoys, leaving the power core vulnerable. Ethan signaled for his team to move, and they slipped through the shadows, hearts pounding. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had taken the initiative. The resistance was small, outnumbered, and outgunned, but they weren't afraid. Not anymore. The resistance team moved silently through the darkness, sticking to alleyways and abandoned buildings. The air was thick with tension as they approached the alien power core. Ethan led the way, his sharp eyes scanning for any sign of Vraxian patrols. Behind him, Liam carried a backpack filled with devices designed to disrupt the magnetic field. Claire stayed close, her camera rolling despite the danger. She wanted to capture every moment, no matter what happened. Mia remained at the safe house, monitoring their progress remotely. Her fingers danced across her keyboard as she kept the distractions going. Fake signals continued to lure drones away from the core, but she knew it wouldn't last forever. "Hurry up," she muttered under her breath, watching the clock tick down. As the group neared the core facility, they spotted their first patrol, a pair of insectoid Vraxians marching in perfect sync. Their glowing eyes scanned the area methodically. Ethan held up a hand, signaling for everyone to stop. He pointed to a narrow side street and mouthed, "This way." The team followed him, crouching low to avoid detection. Inside the facility, things grew more complicated. The building was massive, its walls lined with strange alien machinery that hummed softly. Blue lights pulsed along the corridors, casting eerie shadows. Liam glanced at his scanner, checking for the exact location of the core. "It's 2 floors down," he whispered. "We need to find a way in." Ethan nodded and motioned for the group to follow him again. They moved carefully, avoiding security cameras and ducking behind crates. But then, something unexpected happened. A loud clang echoed through the hallway. Someone had accidentally kicked a loose piece of metal. The sound seemed deafening in the silence. Moments later, red warning lights flashed, and an alarm blared. The Vraxians were onto them. "Go! Go!" Ethan shouted, breaking into a run. The team sprinted down the corridor, dodging blasts of energy fired by pursuing aliens. One shot grazed Liam's arm, tearing his jacket but missing flesh. He winced but kept moving, clutching his backpack tightly. Claire stayed close behind, her heart pounding. She thought about dropping her camera to run faster but couldn't bring herself to do it. This was history in the making, and she refused to let fear take over. They reached a locked door blocking their path to the core. Liam pulled out a small gadget and attached it to the panel beside the door. "Give me 10 seconds," he yelled over the noise. Ethan and another volunteer turned to face the approaching Vraxians, firing makeshift weapons to hold them off. When the door finally slid open, the group poured inside. The power core loomed before them, a towering structure pulsating with blue energy. It looked alive, almost organic, as if it were breathing. Liam quickly set to work, placing his devices around the base of the core. "We need to overload it," he explained. "Once it destabilizes, it'll cut off their connection to the magnetic field." But time was running out. More Vraxians arrived, forcing Ethan and his team to fight harder. Claire noticed Zixer-7 stepping forward, his large form towering over the others. His voice boomed, distorted and angry. "You cannot stop us, humans. Your resistance is futile." Claire stepped forward, surprising even herself. "Futile. You're the ones who can't figure out how to conquer a planet without tripping over your own tech." She shot back. Her words didn't faze Zixer-7, but they gave Liam the extra second he needed to activate the devices. Suddenly, the core began to shake violently. Sparks flew, and the blue light flickered erratically. Alarms screamed louder than ever. The Vraxians panicked, shouting orders in their guttural language. Zixer-7 hesitated, looking unsure for the first time since his arrival on Earth. "It's working," Liam exclaimed. "Let's get out of here." The team retreated as fast as they could, dodging falling debris and bursts of energy. Outside, Mia cheered when she saw them emerge from the facility. "You did it," she said through their earpieces. "The drones are losing control and their systems are collapsing." But the victory was bittersweet. As they regrouped in the safety of the van, exhaustion settled over them. They had struck a major blow against the invaders, but the battle was far from over. The Vraxians wouldn't give up easily, not after coming so far. Still, there was hope now. Hope that humanity could stand together and fight back. And as the van sped away into the night, Claire turned her camera toward the group. "This isn't the end," she said firmly. "It's just the beginning." The aftermath of the power core sabotage left both humans and Vraxians scrambling. The alien ship above New York flickered ominously, its once steady glow now erratic and unstable. Streets that had been eerily quiet for days began to buzz with activity as people emerged from hiding. unsure whether to celebrate or prepare for retaliation. Meanwhile, Liam, Claire, Ethan, and Mia regrouped at the warehouse, their bodies weary but spirits high. Liam sat at a cluttered table, examining his scanner. "The disruption worked," he said, though his tone was cautious. "Their connection to Earth's magnetic field is weaker, but it's not gone completely." Ethan leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "So what does that mean? Are we winning or just buying time?" "It means they're vulnerable," Mia chimed in, her eyes glued to her laptop screen. She had intercepted fragments of communication between the Vraxians. "They're arguing among themselves. Some want to keep fighting. Others think conquering Earth isn't worth the trouble." Claire perked up at this news. "Arguing. That's good, right? If they're divided, maybe we can use that to our advantage." Liam nodded slowly. "It gives us leverage. But we need more than distractions this time. We need to hit them where it hurts, right at the top." Mia tapped a few keys on her computer, pulling up a schematic of the alien mothership. "If we take out their command center, we could cripple their entire operation. Without leadership, they'll fall apart." "But how do we even get to the mothership?" Ethan asked. "It's floating miles above the city. We don't exactly have spaceships lying around." "We don't need one," Claire said suddenly. Her voice was calm but determined. "We've got something better. Misinformation. Zixer7 already thinks I'm some kind of troublemaker after my little outburst. What if I use that to draw him into a trap?" Everyone stared at her, stunned by the suggestion. "You're talking about walking straight into enemy territory," Ethan said, shaking his head. "That's suicide." "No, it's strategy," Claire insisted. "I'll broadcast a fake message claiming we've discovered their weakness and challenge them to meet me face to face. They won't resist the chance to prove they're still in control." Liam frowned, considering the risks. "It's dangerous, but she's right. It could work. If we time it right, we can ambush them when they show up." The group spent the next several hours fine-tuning the plan. Mia created a convincing fake transmission, mimicking Claire's voice and broadcasting it directly to the Vraxian network. The message promised evidence of humanity's ability to counteract their technology and demanded a meeting at an abandoned subway station near the harbor. While Claire prepared to play her role as bait, Ethan trained volunteers to set up ambush points around the station. They rigged makeshift traps using old pipes, wires, and anything else they could scavenge. Liam focused on building portable devices capable of amplifying the magnetic disruption, hoping to cause permanent damage if they got close enough to the invaders. As night fell, the team gathered one last time before splitting up. Claire adjusted her jacket nervously, clutching her camera like a shield. "Remember," she said, forcing a smile, "this isn't just about stopping them. It's about showing everyone that we're stronger than they think." Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're braver than most people I know. Just stick to the plan, and we'll have your back." With that, Claire headed toward the subway station alone, her footsteps echoing in the empty tunnels. Above ground, the rest of the team took their positions, hearts pounding as they waited for the Vraxians to arrive. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a low hum filled the air, growing louder as a sleek alien transport descended into view. Zixer7 stepped out, flanked by several armored guards. His glowing eyes locked onto Claire, who stood defiantly in the middle of the platform. "You dare mock the Vraxian Empire?" Zixer7 growled, his voice dripping with disdain. "I dare remind you that Earth belongs to us," Claire replied, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "And we're not afraid of you anymore." Before Zixer7 could respond, chaos erupted. Explosions rocked the station as Ethan's traps went off, sending Vraxian soldiers scrambling. Liam and his team rushed in, deploying their magnetic disruptors, while Mia coordinated everything remotely. For the first time since the invasion began, the resistance fought back with precision and purpose. Through the smoke and confusion, Zixer7 locked eyes with Claire. There was anger in his gaze, but also uncertainty. The tide was turning, and he knew it. The subway station erupted into chaos as the Resistance's ambush unfolded. Explosions lit up the dim tunnels, sending bursts of smoke and debris spiraling through the air. Vraxian soldiers scrambled to regain control, their glowing weapons firing wildly in all directions. Zixer-7 barked orders in his guttural language, but his voice was drowned out by the noise of collapsing walls and screeching metal. Claire ducked behind a crumbling pillar, her heart racing. She had expected danger, but nothing like this. The ground shook beneath her feet as another trap detonated nearby, knocking several Vraxians off balance. Through the haze, she spotted Liam and Ethan leading the charge, dodging enemy fire while deploying their magnetic disruptors. Each device emitted a high-pitched whine, causing the aliens' weapons to sputter and fail. "Keep moving," Ethan shouted, tossing a makeshift grenade toward a group of advancing Vraxians. The explosion sent them stumbling backward, their armored exoskeletons sparking from the magnetic interference. Liam worked quickly, setting up one disruptor after another. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from adrenaline. He glanced at Claire, making sure she was still safe. "Stick close," he yelled over the din. Zixer-7, realizing the humans were targeting their technology, turned his attention to Liam. With surprising speed for such a large creature, he charged forward, his claws glinting menacingly under the flickering lights. "You will not destroy us," he roared, swiping at Liam with terrifying force. Ethan saw the attack coming and tackled Liam out of the way just in time. The two men crashed to the ground as Zixer-7's blow shattered a nearby support beam. Dust rained down, and the ceiling groaned ominously. "We can't stay here," Ethan growled, pulling Liam to his feet. "This whole place is going to collapse." Mia's voice crackled through their earpieces. "Guys, you need to finish this now. Their systems are destabilizing, but they're trying to override it." Claire emerged from her hiding spot, clutching her camera tightly. She couldn't just stand by while her friends fought for their lives. Spotting an opening, she darted toward Zixer-7, shouting to distract him. "Hey, Bugface, over here." Zixer-7 whipped around, his multifaceted eyes narrowing on her. For a moment, Claire froze, regretting her decision. But then she remembered why she was there, not just to report the story, but to fight for something bigger than herself. Summoning every ounce of courage, she raised her camera and pressed record. "Let's see what happens when your perfect plan falls apart," she taunted, her voice shaking but defiant. Enraged, Zixer-7 lunged at her, but Liam seized the opportunity. Grabbing one of the disruptors, he hurled it directly at the alien leader. It struck true, attaching itself to Zixer-7's chest plate. A surge of energy coursed through him, causing his body to convulse violently. Sparks flew from his armor, and his movements became sluggish. "This is it," Liam shouted. "Everyone, fall back." The team retreated toward the exit, dodging falling rubble and collapsing supports. Behind them, the disruptor continued its work, amplifying the magnetic interference until the entire station buzzed with energy. The remaining Vraxians tried to flee, but their technology failed completely, leaving them stranded. As they reached the surface, the group paused to catch their breath. Below them, the subway station collapsed in on itself with a deafening roar. Smoke billowed into the night sky, marking the end of the ambush. For the first time since the invasion began, the streets felt quieter, almost peaceful. "We did it," Claire whispered, lowering her camera. Her hands were trembling, but her voice was steady. "We actually did it." Liam nodded, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. "For now. But we've only slowed them down. They'll regroup, and next time, they won't underestimate us." Ethan clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll be ready. Let them come." In the distance, the massive alien ship loomed overhead, its glow noticeably dimmer than before. Maya's voice came through again, softer this time. "You guys should see this. Their systems are rebooting, but they're struggling. Whatever you did, it hit them hard. Claire looked up at the ship, her mind racing. This victory was small, but it proved something important, that humanity wasn't powerless. Together, they could stand against even the greatest threats. And as long as they kept fighting, Earth still had a chance. The resistance team gathered back at the warehouse, their bodies aching but spirits high. The ambush had worked better than they'd hoped, and for the first time since the invasion began, there was a glimmer of hope. The alien ship above New York still hovered ominously, but its once dazzling glow had dimmed significantly. It was clear the Vraxians were struggling to recover from the attack. Liam sat hunched over his laptop, reviewing data from the disruptors. Their systems are weaker now, he said, pointing to a graph on the screen. But it's not permanent. They're adapting. Ethan paced the room, his brow furrowed. Adapting or not, we hit them hard. That's something they won't forget. Claire leaned against the wall, replaying footage she'd captured during the ambush. Her hands trembled slightly as she watched Zixer-7 collapse under the magnetic surge. He looked scared, she murmured. For the first time, I think they realized we're not just going to roll over. Mia nodded, her eyes glued to her own computer. I intercepted more transmissions. There's panic aboard the mothership. Some of them want to cut their losses and leave Earth altogether. Leave? Ethan scoffed. After all this, they're not walking away that easily. No, they're not, Liam agreed. But it shows cracks in their unity. If we can exploit that, maybe we can end this without another fight. Claire set her camera down and stood up. What if we offer them a deal? They came here because they needed resources, right? What if we give them a choice? Share Earth peacefully or leave empty-handed? Ethan raised an eyebrow. You think they'll go for it? These guys don't exactly strike me as negotiators. They might. Mia interjected. Their leaders are divided. If we present a solution that saves face, they could take it. Lion thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. It's worth a shot. But how do we even talk to them without getting blasted on sight? I'll do it, Claire said firmly. Everyone turned to look at her. They know me now. Zixer-7 knows me. If anyone can get through to them, it's me. No way, Ethan snapped. You're not putting yourself in danger again. It's not about danger. It's about trust, Claire argued. They've seen me stand up to them. Maybe that makes me someone they'll listen to. After a long silence, Liam finally spoke. She's right. We don't have many options left, and this might be our best chance. With the team's reluctant agreement, they devised a plan. Claire would broadcast a message directly to the Vraxian mothership, using Maya's equipment to ensure it reached their command center. The message would propose coexistence, a shared use of Earth's resources, or peaceful withdrawal. That night, Claire stood alone in the middle of an open field, her camera rolling. Above her, the alien ship loomed like a second moon. Taking a deep breath, she activated the transmitter. This is Claire Bennett, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We know why you're here. Your planet is dying, and you came to Earth out of desperation. But conquest isn't the answer. There was a long pause, and for a moment, she wondered if they'd ignored her. Then a low hum filled the air, and Zixer-7 descended in a sleek transport pod. His massive form towered over her, but this time, he didn't raise his claws. Instead, he regarded her with what almost looked like curiosity. You speak boldly for a human, he said, his voice less hostile than before. I'm speaking for all of us, Claire replied. We don't want war. We want survival, for both our species. Work with us, or leave, but you can't win this fight. Zixer-7 hesitated, his glowing eyes flickering. Finally, he spoke. Your proposal will be considered. With that, he returned to his ship, leaving Claire standing alone under the stars. Back at the warehouse, the team watched anxiously as Claire recounted the encounter. Do you think they'll agree? She asked. Liam smiled faintly. Either way, we gave them a choice. And sometimes, That's enough. For the first time in weeks, the city slept soundly, unaware of the fragile truce hanging in the balance. The next morning, the alien ship above New York remained silent. Its dim glow cast a pale light over the city, but there were no signs of movement or retaliation. Humanity held its breath, waiting for what came next. Liam, Claire, Ethan, and Mia gathered at the warehouse once again, their nerves stretched thin. They had done everything they could. Now it was out of their hands. Hours passed in tense silence. Finally, just as the sun began to set, the massive vessel emitted a low hum that echoed across the city. A bright beam of light shot down from the ship, illuminating Times Square. People watched from windows and rooftops, too afraid to approach but unable to look away. From the light emerged Sixer-7, flanked by several smaller Fraxians. Claire stepped forward, her camera rolling. She wasn't alone this time. Liam, Ethan, and Maya stood close behind her, ready for whatever happened next. The streets were eerily quiet as Sixer-7 raised one clawed hand, signaling for attention. "Humans," he began, his voice steady but lacking its usual aggression. "Your proposal has been considered. My people did not come to Earth seeking conflict. We came because we had no other choice. Our home is dying, and we sought refuge here." He paused, glancing at Claire before continuing. "But conquest was a mistake. We underestimated your resilience and unity. For that, I offer my apologies." A murmur rippled through the crowd gathering nearby. No one had expected an apology, least of all from the invaders. Claire tightened her grip on her camera, unsure whether to believe him. "We will withdraw," Sixer-7 continued. "But we ask for one thing in return, a chance to work together. Share your knowledge of Earth's resources, and we will share ours. Together, perhaps both our species can survive." Liam exchanged a glance with Claire. This was more than they'd hoped for, a peaceful resolution instead of endless war. Slowly, Liam nodded. "We accept," he said firmly. "But know this, if you betray us, we won't hesitate to fight back." Sixer-7 bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect. "Understood." With that, the alien leader turned and walked back toward the beam of light. As he disappeared into the ship, the hum grew louder, and the vessel began to ascend. The once oppressive shadow lifted from the sky, replaced by the soft glow of twilight. Cheers erupted throughout the city as people realized the nightmare was over. For now, back at the warehouse, the team sat in stunned silence. Exhaustion weighed heavily on them, but so did relief. Claire turned off her camera and sighed deeply. "It's done," she whispered. "We actually did it." Ethan leaned back in his chair, shaking his head in disbelief. "Never thought I'd see the day when humans and aliens work things out without blowing each other up." Mia grinned, closing her laptop. "Guess we proved them wrong. And maybe, just maybe, we proved something to ourselves too." Liam looked around at his friends, pride swelling in his chest. This wasn't just about stopping them. It was about showing everyone that even when things seem impossible, we can still stand together and find a way forward. As the days turned into weeks, life slowly returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after an alien invasion. The Resistance became legends, their story told in news reports, documentaries, and late-night conversations. Claire's footage went viral, inspiring millions around the world. Though the threat had passed, humanity knew it couldn't let its guard down completely. The scars of the invasion would take time to heal, but the experience had changed them. People who once saw themselves as divided now recognized their shared strength. And high above, the stars reminded them that while Earth belonged to humanity, the universe was vast and full of possibilities. For Liam, Claire, Ethan, and Mia, the journey had transformed them. They weren't just survivors. They were proof that courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome even the greatest odds. As they parted ways, promising to stay in touch, they carried with them the hope that humanity's future might shine brighter than ever before.